I said breathe! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dakota Frandsen, and welcome back to Specials of the Strange Radio Show. Today is January 24th, 2020. We are almost through the new month of the new decade. I hope everybody is doing an absolutely fantastic time. I hope y'all are doing good. It's time for a new episode. Last week, we discussed mental health and the paranormal. If you are hearing some music right now, it is simply some background stuff I have applied in order to drown out outside influence. I wanted to just be you and me today. And hopefully this doesn't get flagged by fucking censorship. But anyway, this week I have a bit more for you than originally planned. This week I wanted to discuss demons and mental health. How many times we, as a society, have led to the persecution of innocent people just because we didn't understand mental illness, because we still don't understand mental illness. How we attributed many fairly common incidents, unfortunate but also common, to true neurological disorders, conditions, and illnesses. And why do I feel like we need to address this? Because, well, that attributes to a lot of history. But also, it still happens today. And I say that because I've been made aware, not too long ago, of a man who keeps trying to perform exorcisms on his teenage daughter because he believes that her daughter shouldn't have monthly menstrual cycles. Because he believed that was the work of the devil. I have been monitoring this girl close. She's not demonic. Any more so than any teenage girl is. But because this is still a prevalent problem, in much of the world. This is something we need to discuss. Stay tuned, because at the time of this recording, 2 new cases popped up. And this is about to get a whole lot weirder. My name is Dakota Frandsen, and welcome. Be sure to listen in. Be sure to like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you're listening to this through our YouTube channel, because we got more exciting projects coming up for this new year. After this commercial break, let's get started. Hey everyone, Dakota Frandsen here, specialist of the strange. I just wanted to come with you real quick about potentially doing your own podcast. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? Maybe you got a lot of questions like, how do I record? How do I get my show into all these apps that are out there? How can I make money? There are probably several thousand other questions about getting this show off the ground that you have been formulating and communicating in your mind. And I'm here to tell you that there is a very simple answer to this. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing your show. And best of all, it is 100% free. Get all the perks from the other guys without having to pay for subscription fees. And best of all, it is easy. And in fact, Anchor can match you up with sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast right now, which means you can get paid doing what you love. Isn't that the fucking dream, my friends? In fact, that's actually what I'm trying to do right now by reading this ad for you. It is amazing. It helps ease the process for guests, putting on music, whatever you want to do. So if you want to start your podcast, make some money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and several other fabulous people already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. And I cannot wait to hear you on the air. Impaired speech. Violent compulsions. Sudden and rapid changes in mood or behavior. Suicidal ideations. Hallucinations. Random outbursts. Sudden episodes of immense, nearly impossible, superhuman strength. Suddenly speaking in tongues. Suddenly being able to speak languages, dialects, or even just accents you have never even heard before. Coming into knowledge that you shouldn't know. Having the urge and the voices inside your head to kill. Sudden temperature fluctuations. Your skin becoming so hot you start smoking. Even spontaneous combustion. What do these sound like to you? They sound like some of the cliche attributes commonly given to demons in many horror flicks nowadays. Those of you with a medical or psychological background may associate many of these with common mental disorders, common phenomena that take place within our own human body. that anybody, under the right circumstances, can utilize in any given moment. Things that anybody could witness, should they be stupid enough to mess around with drugs. Things that many people honestly can't help because of the way their mind works. Mental illness is a field that we are still trying to understand. And there's still a lot of misconceptions out there that are leading to misdiagnoses. People essentially deteriorating because their physicians can't figure out what's going to be the appropriate pill combination to combat their symptoms. New methods of treatment try to come out every day, but nothing seems to be the one-size-fits-all solution that the medical industry is trying to resolve. And unfortunately, due to the complexity of human behavior, we may not ever be able to do so. Episodes where people have sudden bouts of human strength. The human body is capable of a lot more than what most people actually realize. I'm going to try to... Now, I should reiterate real quick. I'm going to touch upon various points throughout history in which this became a problem. Witch trials, alleged demonic possessions, situations like that. But I want to really cover the true basis of what we know now and move forward on with what's going to come in the future. Because honestly, it could be attributed that we are becoming more aware as a society of mental health. We realized that this blob of gray matter between our ears and inside our skulls can get seriously messed up in response to potentially any stimuli whatsoever. Now, sudden bouts of superhuman strength, superhuman agility, anything like that. Adrenaline is one hell of a drug. And the human body is actually capable of a lot more. But however, the way our mind is structured, because our mind is aware of the potential our bodies have, it has shut-off valves in order to keep us from pushing ourselves to our absolute limits, to the point where we could end up seriously hurting ourselves, make us vulnerable. Our mind is wired to try to give us the best chances of survival. And what a lot of people don't realize is that afflictions caused by mental illness can be passed down genetically. It's hard to test when that happens. It's hard to say why it happens, but it doesn't take a scientist to realize what's going on. When it comes to certain bouts of mental illness, sometimes there is a chemical imbalance within our systems, which can honestly be attributed to spontaneous combustion of the human body. There seems to be several other factors that some people just don't seem to take into consideration. That's a matter that is to be further investigated. Now, I honestly do not want to just ramble off a bunch of bullshit and say, oh, this is the work of the devil, this is witchcraft, this is sorcery. No. If something within the paranormal seems to have legitimate confines in which makes it possible, we as a society need to do more to investigate it, why it happens, and possibly prevent any harmful things from becoming of it. Because even some of the most brilliant minds have said, if we go to start exploring the scientific aspects of much of what is going on nowadays, we will be able to advance our society to ways that might seem like magic, because it becomes so incredibly advanced. Just imagine the potential. But right now, we gotta address the faults in the system now. Because, while yes, emotional abuse, drug use, violent activity, illegal activity, to which causes harm to oneself and others, can attract quote-unquote demonic influences. Now, true demons, they're rare. Most of the demonic encounters are actually members of the fallen. Those who either left of their own free will or were cast out of the realm that we known in the past of gods. And they decided to take up residency in hell, realizing that it's nothing but pure chaos. They could take control and make something of it. But we need to address the human issue. Throughout history, there were literally manuals of how to spot witches, how to spot signs of potential demons. And if you truly look at it all, the facts were severely twisted. And they still are nowadays. Many religious sectors have started acknowledging this and taking precautions by mandating mental health evaluations before exorcisms are allowed to take place. But there's still a lot we don't know. And a lot of people can try to bring up older cases, like Annalise Michael, Amityville. Even, what was his name? The Devil Made Me Do It killer. His name is escaping me right now, but his story is actually going to become the basis for The Conjuring 3, which is coming out later this year. And it's another story from the infamous and Lorraine Warren. But even they took precautions in order to try to avoid misconstruing extremes of human psychology, human anatomy, for truly supernatural forces. But unfortunately, at the same time, these supernatural forces are able to see so much detail into what goes on within our minds, within our bodies, within our very souls even. They know how to make it look like, they know how to turn us into puppets. Use it to their I wouldn't want to say endgame, because all they're really doing is wanting to cause chaos. Some want to recruit for their side to eventually try to take over control of the cosmos itself. Others, they're just bored. Have their own means. That's why I prophesized end of days all-out war between heaven and hell may not actually ever happen. Because you can't get those assholes down there to ever cooperate. Might be able to for a little bit, but it never lasts. Sorry, we have a plane going overhead, probably just a crop duster. But these violent convulsions, if anybody who's listening to this wants to try to get involved in this type of field, you need to, I highly recommend you read up on common neurological disorders. Tourette's, for example, where people start rambling off weird words and sounds for no reason, just because that's the way their mind is hardwired. Episodes of depression, anxiety, insomnia do have physical changes to the human mind. Drugs can affect people in such a way that it almost seems like you're watching an messed up episode of The Walking Dead. Hell, there's a fan theory that's floating around saying that drugs made from the Breaking Bad caused the fucking zombie apocalypse in The Walking Dead. And I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen a lot more of those kind of campaigns in order to get people to stop using. But then again, we also have a situation, and I know this is actually happening here locally within the Twin Falls area. There's a doctor here who willingly prescribes painkillers to people who just ask. He's feeding addictions. The corruption of mankind is what allows for demons to enter our world. In poltergeist cases, for example, many of them can actually be attributed to emotional distress inside the home. Usually, but not limited to, a young female in the home. We're going to have more on this after the break. Now, I know it probably seems like I'm kind of bouncing through this topic real fast because there is a lot of material that needs to be covered here. But if you go back to all the witch trials, you go back to several stories of demonic possession. Hell, you look at some of the stories behind a few demons. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, shit. Alright, that's just someone who is reaching out to me to get some clarity. Anyway, on a case I'm actually about to discuss. So, I'll tell you all about that a little bit later. But anyway, if you look through, if you take the chance to read up on mental illness, borderline personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder, schizophrenia, you name it. There's a lot of common variables between stories of witchcraft and demonics. A lot of parallels between witchcraft, demonics, and mental illness. And that's why we honestly need to do more to understand. But however, it may be a long time in the coming. we have to get the discussion about mental health opened up. Victims of childhood abuse, relationship abuse, veterans facing post-traumatic stress disorder. We have to get the conversation opened up. Suicidal ideation, we have got to get the conversation opened up. In fact, the FCC, at the time of recording this, just approved that if you dial, here in the U.S., if you dial 998, it'll direct you to the suicide hotline. The FCC just approved to have that in place to help anybody who needs it. We need to stop focusing all of our social interactions through electronic means. Granted, there might be situations where the person is long distance. You may not be able to see each other a lot. But all of our deep emotional conversations, even if they are the most positive of matters, we need to get back to going face to face with these matters. We need to become more aware. We don't have to become our brothers, our sisters, our mother's keeper. We don't have to take it to that extent, but we need to be more aware of the people around us. We need to become more aware of changes with them. Because they may not be wanting to talk. They might think they're hiding it. But the second they realize that they're not doing a very good job of hiding it, they'll come out. And you might just end up saving a life one day. We need to get rid of old belief systems. We need to allow ourselves, we need to allow our society to be able to change with new and advancing scientific knowledge, technology, and understanding of the world overall. Because we have so many people out there who are just flat out stubborn. Flat out too stubborn in order to be accepting of what's out there. There's parts of my research that could actually validate that historical events mentioned in religious text could have been real. But the details were obscured over time. Not every case is truly demonic. And yes, there's resources out there if and when the rarest of occasions take place. And yes, I've run through a few of these cases. But I've also run through people who have tried to claim that there was like some sort of demon in order to try to excuse their own violent behavior. I've had a person who's currently serving time for the abuse of a minor. Who tried to reach out to me through his mother saying that the baby was possessed and smashing himself into the doors. Granted, well, unfortunately, there are some situations where even a small child may be trying to self-harm in some way for some odd reason. For seemingly no reason. For some odd reason. For reasons that we're not going to be able to understand because they can't tell us what's going on. And the technology needed in order to try to comprehend what is happening I honestly still can't believe that he's tried for that defense. Sorry, I was just having a bit of a flashback to it, but there are physical changes inside the human mind which indicate that a mental illness is in fact real. Psychologists have actually had to prepare a series of questions to be used in the legal system in order to weed out those who tried to go for an insanity plea. In hopes that they would get the find comforts of an insane asylum rather than prison. Now, Dakota, you may be wondering, well, if some of a lot of the symptoms may actually be one and the same, how can we tell the difference? I told people once, I told you people several times, and some of you don't seem to want to acknowledge or accept it. But until our understanding of these things becomes more accessible, more involved, and more thorough, we often don't find out the differences until it's too late. Now, if you got a situation where somebody is levitating, if you have a situation where even if there was an allergic reaction, even if it was planned beforehand, if you have a situation where someone is being carved into before your very eyes by an unseen force, if you have a situation where the room seemingly gets hot, now that can easily just be attributed to everybody getting stressed out about the situation. Multiple voices coming out of the same person all at once. Possession is real. However, statistically, you are more likely to come across those who are fraudulent, those who don't understand, and those who are purposely ignorant more than a real case. And that is something I'm trying to reiterate here. All it takes to potentially save someone's life is extending a hand of kindness. Remember that. And if you have any questions about some of my cases, feel free to ask. But there's only so much I can disclose. After the commercial break, we're going to go into 2 new cases that I've come across, which will require more investigation, so you might hear more updates on future episodes. So stay tuned. So this is the situation. That we are more likely to face bullshit than the truth. Alexa, next. Not feeling the mood, sorry. That works. The following music has actually been presented by Technoax and Kevin MacLeod. Copyright-free music made specifically so YouTube will stop flagging your videos for copyright infringement. Anyway, if we are more likely to face bullshit than the truth, how can we know for exact reasons that we're dealing with something real? If we're dealing with something real, sometimes it flies under the radar if you're talking about witchcraft. As far as demons, you'll just be able to walk into a room and sense something is off. That feeling is what attracts them. What allows them to enter our world. It doesn't have to be some sort of satanic ritual in order to open portals. It's simply the murder. Simply a murder has to take place. A husband and wife beating the living crap out of each other. the cries of a frightened child. That's all it takes. More work needs to be done in order to verify the environmental causes. However, while these are mere correlations, they happen frequent enough to warrant the possibility is causation. Meaning, if a true presence is around, you'll notice electromagnetic anomalies. Someone will be giving off almost deadly electromagnetic levels that will actually be detectable by even some of the cheapest equipment. The human body actually gives off electromagnetic radiation. It's in very small amounts, and often a lot of the machines that we have that can detect the fluctuations in it either aren't sensitive enough or simply too heavy to lug around to be able to thoroughly assess every investigation. Some of the equipment you might actually need special privilege, special licenses in order to obtain, special knowledge on how to operate. That's part of the problem we face right now. One thing I have noticed with demonic possession, true demonic possession, number one, Zach Bankins is full of shit, so don't follow a lot of what he says. However, there is one thing from the Demon House documentary I have actually found correlates with real life cases. A truly demonic person, demonically possessed person, when the demon is about to become active, will actually give off higher levels of electromagnetic radiation. Almost deadly levels, to where they would probably be quarantined and treated for radiation poisoning. Which coins another term. Those who have dealt with demonic possession, whether they were the possessed themselves or involved in the exorcism, and didn't take the appropriate steps in order to protect themselves on a spiritual level, that's also what causes possession sickness. You don't have to be the one that gets possessed in order to get it. You just have to be in the vicinity of the blast, metaphorically speaking. Now, unfortunately, some of these reports also cooperate with some abduction cases, as in extraterrestrials. Some of you have heard it. You have actually heard an email ping on my phone about an active case I am working on with MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. It's supposed to be one of the largest UFO reporting agencies out there. And on December 14th, 2019, I submitted my own report. And it is currently under investigation. We're going to see if we possibly spotted anything legitimate and potentially open up airways for future collaborations. So I'm liking how they're pursuing this. But like I said, the investigation is ongoing. There's also a second matter I want to discuss real quick as I start off with this disclaimer. I am no way, in any shape, or form, affiliated with Warner Brothers, DC Comics, or the CW. Though I wouldn't be against an invitation. And it's not for a lack of trying. Not too long ago, the CW concluded their big Arrowverse crossover. Their biggest one yet, Crisis on Infinite Earths. This next case is going to attempt to... How should I put this? This next test is going to try to establish contact with someone on another Earth. This individual may actually exist within the world of Superman and Wonder Woman. Allegedly, the character John Constantine may have manifested in our world, or may have been able to come to our world through similar properties of thought forms. This is something that's going to require further investigation, and I think I might have something to see if we can establish contact and to see if the Hellblazer is real. I have selected a group of individuals who will help me analyze my recordings. These people will not be told the full details of the case, who I'm looking for, or what's going on, until they give me their evaluations of the result. This is the best way I can make sure all outside parties are blind, metaphorically speaking, that they are not compromised in any way, shape, or form to see if this experiment comes true. Those of you who happen to be fans or know what I'm talking about, maybe you've seen the Keanu Reeves movie or are a fan of the Matt Ryan portrayal. John Constantine. I'm coming for you. I'll be sure to let you guys know the results of that case as soon as possible. There will be a video on my YouTube channel that'll disclose all the details if it is successful. If it is not successful, we'll try again once we manage to get better methods. Ooh. But that's all I'm going to reveal for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to tune in next week, where, since we're dealing with an active UFO investigation, let's talk about that for a little bit. What is the deal behind UFOs? Is there any legitimacy to them? This is going to be portrayed in a manner that is sort of a beginner's crash course in dealing with the UFO phenomenon. It will take more than one episode in order to disclose some of the more exotic claims, such as ETs actually being angels and demons, the Sasquatch being an extraterrestrial species, the concepts of Atlantis, Lemuria, ancient Egyptian contact with extraterrestrials, even souls that may have come from another planet. And this is an interesting topic, so be sure to listen in. Like I said before at the beginning of this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, so you can make sure you get a heads up just in case YouTube's algorithm doesn't want to play in my favor. Let me know if there's any topics that you would like me to cover, if I haven't already, or if you would like me to dig deeper into something that I've already touched base on in the show. I'll be watching all the comments. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, Instagram. There will be a link in the description to a Linktree page that'll take you to all of my official pages that are active, and we'll get regular updates on future investigations, future episodes of this show, updates on my other projects, and more. There's also a couple spots where you can get yourself some equipment from our affiliates at Ghost Stop, and you can get exclusively designed merchandise from me, made by yours truly. So go check it out. Maybe you got someone that you're wanting to get a gift for, and they happen to be a fan. Maybe you want some sort of clothing to help you from getting possessed on a paranormal investigation of yourself. I got a little something for that too. I'll be sure to add more products here soon. Be sure to check back. Got all sorts of fun projects, and this is a brand new year, my friends. And it's already starting off kind of a weird way. I'll see you next time. Later.